Guess the little monkey's too stupid to know her daddy's gone, Sergeant Rick Coyle sneered, his boot grinding into the dirt beside Marcus Freeman's lifeless body. The Mississippi sun burned down like judgment, glinting off badges that once promised protection, but now reeked of cruelty. 9-year-old Ayanna stood frozen, her small hands trembling as the men who murdered her father laughed and turned away. They thought it was finished, just another report to rewrite, another lie to bury. But when she lifted his pistol and screamed, "Why did you kill my daddy?" the world shifted. Minutes later, black SUVs rolled in, and 13 of her father's Navy SEAL brothers surrounded the killers, armed not just with weapons, but with truth. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Morning sun cuts through the mist over Hollow Creek, Mississippi. The light filters through the old oak trees lining Main Street, casting dappled shadows on Marcus Freeman's blue pickup as it rumbles down the road. The truck's engine purrs smoothly, a testament to the skilled mechanic's careful maintenance. 9-year-old Ayanna sits in the passenger seat, her backpack clutched tight against her chest. Her dark eyes shine with admiration as she watches her father's strong hands on the steering wheel. The morning drive to school has always been their special time together. "Daddy," Ayanna says, fiddling with the zipper of her backpack, "we got this new project at school yesterday. It's about heroes." Marcus glances at her with a gentle smile. "That right? Who'd you pick to write about? Martin Luther King? Rosa Parks?" Ayanna shakes her head, her braids swaying. "No, Daddy, I picked you." Her voice carries pure conviction. Marcus's hands tighten slightly on the wheel, emotion flickering across his face. "Me? Baby girl, I'm just a mechanic." "You're not just anything," Ayanna insists. "You fought for our country. You help everybody in town, even mean old Mr. Wilson when his car breaks down. And you always stand up for what's right." She pulls out a slightly crumpled paper from her backpack. "See? I already started writing it." Marcus blinks hard, clearly moved. "Well, now, let me hear some of that." "My hero is my daddy, Marcus Freeman," Ayanna reads proudly. "He served in the Navy, and now he fixes cars, but that's not why he's my hero. He's my hero because—" The sharp flash of red and blue lights in the rearview mirror cuts her off. Marcus's expression shifts instantly, joy replaced by a carefully controlled tension. He lets out a slow breath and eases the truck to the curb. "Put that away now, baby," he says quietly. "Remember what we talked about?" Ayanna nods, her small face suddenly serious. Hands where they can see them. No sudden moves. "Yes, sir," or "No, sir." "That's right." Marcus's voice is steady, but his jaw clenches as 2 officers approach the truck. Through the side mirror, Ayanna watches Sergeant Rick Coyle swagger toward them, his hand already resting on his holstered weapon. Officer Dunn follows behind, younger and visibly nervous. "License and registration," Coyle drawls, leaning into Marcus's window. His breath smells of coffee and tobacco. "Got a broken taillight?" "No, sir, I don't," Marcus replies calmly, reaching slowly for his phone. "I checked all my lights this morning. I'd like to record this interaction, if you don't mind." Coyle's face hardens. "Think you know better than me, boy?" The slur drips with contempt. "No, sir," Marcus says, phone now recording in his hand. "Just exercising my rights as a citizen. My registration is in the glove compartment." Ayanna sits perfectly still, her heart pounding. She's seen this before. The way some officers look at her father like he's already guilty of something. But her daddy taught her to be brave, to hold her head high. "Rights?" Coyle spits the word. "Getting mighty uppity for a mechanic. Think being a veteran makes you special?" His hand tightens on his weapon. "Sir," Marcus keeps his voice level, I'm reaching for my registration now. Moving slow. He starts to lean toward the glove compartment. Officer Dunn suddenly tenses. "Gun!" he shouts, drawing his weapon. Time seems to slow. Ayanna sees her father's eyes widen in disbelief. "No!" he starts to say. 3 shots crack the morning air like thunder. Marcus jerks violently, red blooming across his chest. His phone clatters to the pavement as he slumps forward, then sideways, falling out of the truck onto the street. "Daddy!" Ayanna's scream tears through her throat. She scrambles across the seat, dropping to her knees beside him. Blood soaks into her school clothes, but she doesn't care. "Daddy! Wake up! Please wake up!" "He reached," Coyle mutters, holstering his weapon. His face shows no remorse, only annoyance, like swatting an insect. Officer Dunn turns away, his young face pale and shaken. His hands tremble as he reaches for his radio. Ayanna cradles her father's head in her lap, tears streaming down her face. The hero essay falls from the truck, landing in a puddle of blood. The ink runs, smearing her careful words about courage and doing what's right. Morning traffic slows to a crawl as people strain to see. Some pull out phones to record. Others hurry past, eyes averted from the tragedy unfolding on their quiet street. The sun continues to rise over Hollow Creek, indifferent to the life it just lost, while a little girl's world shatters into pieces that will never fit back together the same way again. The midday sun beats down on Hollow Creek's main street, now a maze of yellow crime scene tape and flashing lights. Police cruisers form a barrier around Marcus Freeman's blue pickup, still standing where he took his last breath. Evidence markers dot the ground like tiny yellow graves, numbered pieces of plastic that can't begin to tell the real story. Ayanna sits in the back of an ambulance, an orange shock blanket draped over her blood-stained clothes. Her eyes haven't left the spot where her father fell. EMTs hover nearby, exchanging worried glances, but she hasn't spoken a word since they pulled her away from Marcus's body. "Sources say the suspect was armed," a reporter's voice carries from beyond the tape. "Police recovered what appears to be—" "That's a lie!" someone shouts from the growing crowd. "Marcus Freeman never carried. He was a good man." Sergeant Coyle stands with the police chief, gesturing emphatically. "Clear self-defense. He was reaching under the seat. We had no choice." His voice carries just enough for Ayanna to hear, each word landing like another bullet in her chest. Officer Dunn sits in his cruiser, head in his hands. He's already changed his shirt, but there's still blood on his shoes. More news vans arrive, their satellite dishes reaching toward the sky like metal trees. Reporters jostle for position, cameras pointed at the scene while anchors practice their concerned expressions. Live from Hollow Creek, Mississippi, where an officer-involved shooting, the EMTs turn to answer a detective's questions. In that moment, Ayanna slides off the ambulance step. Her feet move silently across the pavement. Her daddy taught her how to walk quietly when they went fishing together. The memory sends fresh tears down her cheeks. She ducks under the yellow tape while everyone's distracted by a shouting match between protesters and police. The truck's shadow welcomes her like an old friend. The driver's door still hangs open, and dried blood marks the seat where her father sat. Her small hands shake as she picks up his phone from the floorboard. The screen is cracked, but still recording, the video runtime showing over an hour. She presses stop and clutches it close. Something pulls her toward the trunk. She remembers watching her father load his gym bag there yesterday, and with it, his service pistol. He always kept it locked up at home, but he'd been planning to take it to the gunsmith for cleaning. The trunk key is on the same ring as the ignition key, still hanging there. It takes all her strength to turn it, but the trunk pops open with a familiar creak. The black handgun lies wrapped in a cloth, exactly where she'd glimpsed it yesterday. It feels heavy and cold in her hands. Her father taught her never to touch it, but her father's dead now, and all the rules died with him. Voices rise in alarm. The girl! Where's the girl? Someone check the perimeter! Ayanna steps out from behind the truck, gun pointed down, tears streaming. The first person to spot her screams. Officers spin around, hands flying to their weapons. Drop the gun! Someone shouts. But Ayanna's eyes lock onto Sergeant Coyle. She raises the pistol with both hands, just like she's seen in movies. Her arms shake, but her voice rings out clear and broken across the suddenly silent street. Why did you kill my daddy? The world seems to stop. Phones record. Cameras swivel. Officers draw weapons but hesitate. No one wants to be the one who shoots a 9-year-old girl on live television. Put it down, kid, Coyle calls out, his usual swagger cracking slightly. Don't make this worse. He didn't do anything wrong, Ayanna screams. You killed him. You lied. Movement on nearby rooftops catches her eye. Men in tactical gear taking position. Her father told her about snipers, how they can end a fight before it begins. More police cars screech onto the scene. The crowd swells, phones raised high to capture every moment. Social media explodes with live streams and hashtags. Ayanna Freeman trends worldwide within minutes. Please, sweetheart, a female officer tries. Just put the gun down. We can talk about this. Talk? Ayanna's voice cracks. Like my daddy tried to talk. He was nice to you. He was always nice, even when you weren't nice back. The standoff stretches into minutes, then half an hour. The sun climbs higher. Sweat rolls down faces. Fingers stay tight on triggers. News helicopters circle overhead. Politicians release statements. Pundits debate on live TV. But on Main Street, a little girl holds her ground, her father's blood still drying on her shoes. 45 minutes in, Coyle's patience snaps. This is ridiculous. Take the shot. Stand down, the police chief orders. Nobody fires. The crowd's angry murmur grows louder. Phones capture every word, every movement. At exactly 1 hour, a new sound cuts through the tension. The deep, resonant tone of a bullhorn. Ayanna. The voice is strong, steady, filled with quiet authority. This is Isaiah Holt. I'm a friend of your daddy. Let's talk. Through the sea of drawn weapons and tense faces, a tall figure moves with deliberate calm. Isaiah Holt's weathered features bear the marks of years of service, but his eyes remain sharp and focused. His civilian clothes, dark jeans and a gray Henley, stand in stark contrast to the wall of police uniforms he passes. Sir, you need to stay behind the line, an officer warns, reaching for Isaiah's arm. Isaiah fixes him with a steady gaze. I served with Marcus Freeman, Navy SEALs, 2nd Battalion. That's his daughter. His voice carries the kind of authority that makes people step aside. And reluctantly, they do. Coyle steps forward, face flushed. This is a police matter, which you've handled brilliantly so far. Isaiah cuts him off, never breaking stride. His attention stays fixed on Ayanna, whose small hands still grip her father's gun. As he approaches, Isaiah keeps his movements slow and visible. The crowd falls silent, phones still recording, everyone holding their breath. Even the news helicopters seem to hover more quietly. Ayanna, he calls out again, his deep voice gentle now. Your daddy talked about you all the time when we served together. He takes another careful step. Remember when he sent you that video from the carrier? You were just starting kindergarten. Ayanna's grip tightens on the gun, but her eyes show a flicker of recognition. He wore his blue hat. Isaiah smiles, taking another step. That's right. The one with the dolphins on it. He bought it just for that video because you loved dolphins so much. He's close enough now to see the tremors in her small frame. He made our whole unit sing "Happy Birthday" to you. They were off-key. Ayanna whispers, tears spilling fresh down her cheeks. Terrible, Isaiah agrees softly. Your daddy said we sounded like dying seals, but he didn't care. He just wanted to make you smile. Behind him, Coyle shifts impatiently. We don't have time for this story hour, bull. Chief Merrick silences him with a sharp gesture. Too many cameras, he mutters. Let it play out. Isaiah takes another step closer. He can see the gun shaking in Ayanna's hands now. Your daddy was the bravest man I ever served with, he continues. But you know what made him proudest? Not the medals, not the missions. It was you. Every single day, it was you. Ayanna's arms begin to lower slightly. He promised he'd be home for dinner. Her voice breaks. He always kept his promises. I know, baby girl. Isaiah's own voice roughens with emotion. He loved you more than anything in this world. They killed him, she sobs, the gun dropping another inch. They just, I know. Isaiah is only a few feet away now. But this isn't the way, Ayanna. This isn't what he'd want for you. Coyle's whisper carries in the tense silence. We have the shot. Perfect angle now. Stand down, Merrick orders through clenched teeth. The whole world's watching. Isaiah kneels slowly, putting himself at Ayanna's eye level. Your daddy taught you about right and wrong, about being brave, but he also taught you about being smart. He holds out his hand. Let me help you be smart right now. Let me help you fight the right way. Ayanna looks at him, really looks at him, seeing the same quiet strength she knew in her father. The gun slips from her fingers, clattering to the pavement. Her small body crumples as if strings have been cut. Isaiah moves fast, catching her as she falls. She buries her face in his chest, her whole frame shaking with sobs that seem too big for her small body. He wraps his arms around her protectively, one hand cradling the back of her head. The spell breaks. Officers surge forward, weapons raised, shouting commands. Isaiah turns, shielding Ayanna with his body. Back off, he roars, his voice carrying the full weight of command. She's a child. The crowd erupts. Some cheer for the peaceful resolution, others scream in outrage at the officer's aggressive approach. Phones capture every moment, every angle. Someone starts chanting Marcus's name. Hours later, darkness has fallen over Hollow Creek. Isaiah's truck rumbles through quiet streets. Ayanna curled up in the passenger seat, finally sleeping after crying herself into exhaustion. News vans still circle the town like hungry vultures, their headlines already twisting the day's events. Armed child takes officers hostage, and police show restraint in armed standoff. The truck pulls up to a modest craftsman house, where lights still burn in every window. Lena Freeman steps onto the porch, her professional attorney's demeanor cracking at the sight of her niece. Her dark eyes shine with unshed tears and barely contained fury. Isaiah carries Ayanna's sleeping form to the door. Lena reaches out to stroke her niece's hair, then meets Isaiah's gaze. They're already spinning their lies, she says, voice tight with controlled rage. Calling my brother a threat, painting this baby as some kind of militant child soldier. She takes a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. They killed my brother in cold blood, shot him down like he was nothing. Her words carry the weight of both personal anguish and professional purpose. We're going to make them answer for this. Every last one of them. The morning sun streams through Lena's kitchen window, but there's no warmth in it today. She stands at the counter, coffee mug gripped tight, watching the local news with growing disgust. On screen, a carefully edited version of yesterday's events plays out. Sources say Marcus Freeman, a local mechanic with possible gang affiliations, reached for what officers believed was a weapon, the anchor reports with manufactured concern. Security footage, chopped and spliced, shows only the final moments, conveniently missing the beginning of the stop. "You lying cowards!" Lena hurls her coffee mug at the TV. It shatters against the wall instead, dark liquid streaming down like blood. Her hands shake as she grips the counter, trying to steady herself. Her phone buzzes. The district attorney's office confirming their emergency meeting. She straightens her blazer, switches off the TV, and heads out with a storm in her eyes. The DA's office is all polished wood and false warmth. District Attorney William Palmer, a man who's built his career on being professionally non-committal, sits behind his massive desk with practiced concern on his face. "Ms. Freeman," he begins, folding his hands, "I understand this is a difficult time." "Save it," Lena cuts him off. "I want the unedited footage. All of it. Body cams, dash cams, surveillance. Now." Palmer sighs, spreading his hands. "It's not that simple. This is an active investigation. My brother was murdered in broad daylight. The situation is complicated." Palmer chooses his words carefully. "Initial reports suggest your brother made threatening movements. That's bull, and you know it." Lena leans forward. "Marcus was a veteran. He knew how to handle police stops. He had his hands visible the whole time. We need to let the investigation run its course. While you doctor evidence..." Lena stands, her chair scraping back. "I'm filing a formal request for all footage. Today. And if one frame is missing, I'm going to the FBI." Across town, Isaiah works the streets, talking to witnesses. Miss Ruby at the corner store saw it all through her window. Her hands tremble as she arranges candy bars, speaking low. "That boy had his hands up the whole time," she whispers. "Coyle, he was looking for trouble. Been doing it for years." She glances around nervously. "Marcus, he knew something. Something big. Was in here just last week, talking about evidence he was gathering." Isaiah's interest sharpens. "Evidence of what?" "That company, Helion Defense. Been dumping their mess in our neighborhoods. Marcus was tracking it all. Times, dates, pictures." She touches Isaiah's arm. "Be careful asking about that. People who dig too deep tend to disappear." Isaiah spends the afternoon piecing it together. Every person he talks to adds another fragment. Marcus had been documenting illegal chemical dumping by Helion Defense Corporation. Storage tanks leaking into groundwater. Cancer rates spiking in black neighborhoods downstream. Meanwhile, in a private room at the Hollow Creek Country Club, Sergeant Coyle and Chief Merrick sit across from James Wilson, Helion's head of security. The air is thick with cigar smoke and tension. "This is a mess," Wilson growls. "Freeman had files, records. We need to know where." "We're handling it," Merrick assures him smoothly. "The narrative is already in place. Freeman was aggressive, reached for a weapon." "And his kid?" Wilson demands. "That stunt she pulled is all over the internet." "She's traumatized, unstable," Coyle sneers. "Works in our favor. Makes the whole family look dangerous." "Clean this up," Wilson orders, "or the next body they find might not be a free man." As dusk approaches, Isaiah pulls up to Marcus's garage. The Freeman Auto Repair sign creaks in the wind. Using the spare key Marcus had given him years ago, he enters. The space feels hollow without Marcus's presence. Tools still hang in perfect order. Marcus had been military neat about his workspace. Isaiah moves through the shadows, remembering long conversations over engine blocks, the easy friendship of men who'd seen the same wars. In the office, he finds what he's looking for. A heavy toolbox tucked behind the desk, marked simply HDC. The lock is serious, military grade. Isaiah uses the key code Marcus had once shared. His daughter's birthday. Inside, organized with a soldier's precision, are flash drives, receipts, photographs, chemical composition reports, shipping manifestos, maps marked with dump sites, and at the bottom, a handwritten note that makes Isaiah's blood run cold. "If I don't make it back, tell Isaiah it wasn't an accident." He stares at his friend's familiar handwriting, jaw clenched tight. Marcus had known, had been preparing, had tried to protect himself with documentation, but in the end, paper couldn't stop bullets. Isaiah carefully closes the toolbox, securing it with trembling hands. Through the garage window, he sees a patrol car rolling past, slowing slightly. They're watching. Always watching. He waits in the darkness until it passes, the weight of Marcus's final message sitting heavy in his hands. The rain drums against Lena's windows as thunder rolls across Hollow Creek. In her dimly lit living room, papers and folders cover every surface. Isaiah sits cross-legged on the floor, methodically sorting through Marcus's documents, while Lena paces, phone pressed to her ear. "No, I need those body cam files tonight," she insists, her voice tight with frustration. "I don't care about your protocols." She listens for a moment, then hangs up with a curse. "They're stonewalling us." Isaiah looks up from a stack of receipts. They're buying time to clean up the evidence. He holds up a document. "Look at this. Purchase orders between Helion and the police department. They've been supplying crowd control equipment since the protests last summer." Lena sits beside him, frowning at the paper. "That's not unusual. Lots of departments get riot gear from defense contractors." "Yeah, but look at these shipments." Isaiah spreads out more documents. Chemical dispersal units, water cannons. But the amounts don't match. They're ordering way more than a town this size would ever need. Thunder crashes again. Upstairs, they hear a small whimper. Lena glances at the ceiling, her face softening with worry. She's been having nightmares. Can't blame her. Isaiah's jaw tightens. "Watching your father die like that." "She's sleeping with his jacket," Lena says quietly. "Won't let it go. Says it still smells like him." They work in silence for a while, the rain providing a steady backdrop to their investigation. Isaiah organizes the papers into neat piles: financial records, shipping manifests, environmental reports. Each document adds another piece to a disturbing puzzle. "Here," Lena suddenly says, holding up a contract. "Look at these signatures. The police department isn't just buying equipment. They're providing security for Helion's waste transport." Isaiah leans in. "Official escort for sensitive materials. That's how they're doing it. Moving the chemicals under police protection, so nobody asks questions." "Marcus figured it out," Lena whispers. "He tracked their routes, all those late-night convoys heading toward black neighborhoods." Her voice catches. "They killed him for this." Isaiah pulls out his phone, scrolling through contacts. "I know someone who might help. Guy named Torres. We served together. Last I heard, he was working security for Helion. Can you trust him? He was solid in the teams. Left Helion 6 months ago. Said the work felt wrong." Isaiah stands, moving to the window. "If anyone knows what we're really dealing with..." The flash of movement catches his eye. A dark car parked across the street, headlights off. His combat instincts kick in instantly. "Get down!" The window explodes inward as gunfire tears through the living room. Isaiah tackles Lena to the floor, covering her body with his as bullets punch into walls and furniture. Glass shatters, wood splinters, and somewhere upstairs, Ayana screams. "Stay down!" Isaiah commands, army crawling toward his jacket, where his pistol waits. More shots rip through the house, controlled bursts, professional work. These aren't amateur thugs. Lena starts to rise. "Ayana! I'll get her! Stay here!" Isaiah reaches his weapon just as tires screech outside. The car peels away into the rain-soaked night, leaving behind the acrid smell of gunpowder and terror. Lena scrambles to her feet, rushing upstairs. Ayanna! Baby, are you okay? Isaiah secures the perimeter with practiced efficiency, checking angles, noting impact patterns. This wasn't random spray and pray. They aimed for the living room where the documents were spread out. They knew exactly what they were targeting. Upstairs, Ayanna sobs in Lena's arms, clutching her father's jacket like a shield. They're gonna kill us like they killed Daddy. No, baby. Lena rocks her, meeting Isaiah's eyes over her niece's head. We won't let them. Isaiah moves through the house, securing doors and windows. His mind catalogs details automatically. Trajectory angles, shell casings in the yard, tire tracks in the mud. Everything points to professionals. Helion's message couldn't be clearer. Back off or die. Sirens wail in the distance, growing closer. Isaiah quickly gathers the most crucial documents, stuffing them into Marcus's toolbox. They can't trust the police. Not now, maybe not ever again. Rain continues to pour through the broken window, soaking the carpet. Papers flutter in the wet breeze. The house that should have been a sanctuary now feels exposed, violated. Every shadow holds potential threats. Lena comes downstairs, Ayanna finally asleep again upstairs. Her face is set in hard lines of fury and fear. They tried to kill us. They tried to scare us, Isaiah corrects, checking his weapon. If they wanted us dead, they would have used different tactics. This was a warning. A warning we better take seriously. Lena surveys the bullet-riddled walls. They know what Marcus found. They know we have it. The sirens are almost here. Red and blue lights begin to strobe through the rain, painting the broken glass in alternating colors. Isaiah meets Lena's eyes, his expression grim but determined. They just declared war, he says quietly. Morning light filters through broken windows as police officers mill around Lena's bullet-riddled living room. Detective Harris, a heavy-set man with thinning hair, barely glances at the evidence markers dotting the walls. Probably gang-related, he drawls, closing his notepad. Lot of that going around lately. Isaiah stands in the corner, arms crossed, watching. Gang-related? In this neighborhood? With precision shooting patterns? Harris shrugs. Could be cartel-trained. They're getting sophisticated these days. That's bullshit, and you know it. Lena snaps from her position on the couch. She hasn't slept, dark circles under her eyes. This is about Marcus's murder and Helion defense. The detective's face hardens. Ma'am, your brother's case is closed. Don't go making connections that aren't there. Other officers pack up their equipment, barely documenting anything. No one takes photos of the tire tracks. No one collects the shell casings Isaiah spotted in the yard. It's a show of incompetence so perfect it can only be deliberate. After they leave, Isaiah drives to Marcus's garage on the edge of town. The place sits silent, yellow police tape still stretched across the entrance. Behind the building, Hollow Creek winds through a stand of dying trees. Isaiah ducks under the tape and uses his spare key. Inside, everything remains exactly as Marcus left it. Tools arranged with military precision, customer invoices neatly filed, calendar still marking appointments he'll never keep. The smell hits him first, chemical and wrong. It's stronger near the back door. Isaiah follows his nose to the creek bank, where clusters of dead fish float belly up in the murky water. The morning mist can't hide the oily sheen on the surface. "What were you on to, brother?" Isaiah mutters, scanning the shoreline. Something catches his eye. A glint of metal through the undergrowth. He pushes through thick brambles, thorns catching his jacket. Hidden beneath fallen branches, partially submerged in the mud, sits a row of industrial barrels. Their faded labels read, "Property of Helion Defense Corp. Hazardous materials." Isaiah pulls out his phone, documenting everything. The barrels' serial numbers, their position, The dead wildlife? He's so focused on gathering evidence that he almost misses the approaching footsteps. Beautiful morning for a nature walk, isn't it, Mr. Holt? Isaiah turns slowly. Mayor Henry Reddick stands at the edge of the creek, immaculate in his tailored suit despite the muddy terrain. Two police officers flank him, hands resting on their weapons. Mayor! Isaiah palms his phone, making sure it's still recording. Quite a coincidence finding you here. Reddick's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Oh, I make it my business to know when veterans are struggling, especially around sensitive areas. Struggling? Isaiah's voice remains neutral, but his muscles tense. I'm doing just fine, sir. Are you? Reddick steps closer, careful to keep his polished shoes out of the mud. Because from where I stand, you seem to be having trouble letting go of the past, stirring up ghosts that are better left at rest, like Marcus Freeman. A tragic situation. Reddick shakes his head sadly. But dwelling on it won't bring him back. This town needs peace, Mr. Holt. Progress. We can't have certain elements disrupting that progress. Isaiah gestures to the creek. Is this your idea of progress? Poisoning the water? Now! Reddick's voice turns sharp. Let's not make accusations we can't prove. Industrial accidents happen. Environmental surveys can be complicated. Best leave such matters to the proper authorities. The proper authorities seem awful busy looking the other way. The mayor steps closer, dropping his friendly facade. Listen carefully, son. You've served your country. You deserve respect. So let me give you some friendly advice. Go home. Find another town to settle in. Because if you keep poking around in things that don't concern you, he smiles again, cold and practiced. Well, accidents happen to veterans too, especially those with PTSD, living alone, no witnesses around. The threat hangs in the air like the chemical stench from the creek. Isaiah meets Reddick's gaze steadily. That sounded an awful lot like a threat, Mr. Mayor. Just looking out for your well-being. Reddick adjusts his tie. Consider it a final warning. For old time's sake. He turns to leave, then pauses. Oh, and Mr. Holt? If any of those documents you've been collecting somehow find their way to the media, well, let's just say the town won't take kindly to outsiders spreading lies about respected businesses. Isaiah watches them leave, recording until they're out of sight. His jaw clenches as he reviews the footage. Every threat, every implied warning captured perfectly. Back in his truck, he pulls up his email and finds the contact information Lena gave him for Tanya Cruz, an investigative journalist known for exposing corporate corruption. He attaches the video, photos of the barrels, and a brief message. Marcus Freeman's murder. Hellion defense. Environmental crimes. Mayor involved. Proof attached. Her response comes within minutes. Meet me at dawn. Bring all the proof you have. And watch your back. 3 whistleblowers on Hellion stories have died this year. Isaiah stares at the message, then at the dying creek beyond his windshield. The morning sun catches the rainbow slick of chemicals on the water's surface. Beautiful and poisonous, just like the town's smiling mayor and his perfectly pressed suit. The Blue Moon Diner sits like a lonely island in the pre-dawn darkness, its neon sign flickering weakly against the purple sky. Isaiah parks his truck behind the building, away from the highway's view, just as Tanya Cruz steps out of her weathered Subaru. She's shorter than he expected, but her presence fills the empty parking lot. Dark eyes scan the surroundings with the sharp attention of someone who's covered war zones. A press pass hangs from her neck, and a laptop bag is slung across her shoulder. Mr. Holt? Her handshake is firm. Let's take this inside. Fewer eyes. The diner's interior smells of old coffee and grease. One sleepy waitress barely looks up as they slide into a corner booth, far from the windows. Tanya orders coffee for both of them, then pulls out her laptop. "Show me everything," she says quietly. Isaiah spreads out Marcus's documents across the sticky table. Chemical disposal records, property maps, old land deeds. He plays the recording of Mayor Reddick's threats, then shows her the photos of the barrels in Hollow Creek. Tanya's fingers fly across her keyboard, cross-referencing dates and names. Her face grows darker with each connection she makes. "This goes deeper than just illegal dumping," she mutters. "Look at these property records." She turns her screen toward Isaiah. "See this land where Helion built their chemical plant? It used to be owned by 12 black families, all seized through eminent domain in 1963. During the height of the civil rights movement," Isaiah notes. "Exactly. The families were given pennies on the dollar. Most had to leave town." She pulls up more documents. "And guess who facilitated those seizures? Robert Merrick Sr., our current police chief's father." Isaiah's phone buzzes. A text from Lena. He reads it twice, his jaw tightening. "Lena just found something interesting. Seems both Coyle and Chief Merrick own significant Helion stock. Purchased right before the company expanded its waste management contracts. Inside trading on top of everything else." Tanya shakes her head. "This town's corruption goes back generations. They've perfected the art of making crimes look legal." The waitress refills their cups. They wait until she's out of earshot before continuing. "Marcus figured it out," Isaiah says softly. "That's why they killed him. He was going to expose everything. And now they're trying to bury the truth with him." Tanya's voice hardens. "Well, not this time. I'm running the story. Full expose, front-page digital edition. My editors already cleared it. They'll try to discredit you. Let them try. I've got sources at the EPA, satellite imagery showing the contamination spread, testimony from former Helion employees." She meets his gaze. "But you need to understand something. When this breaks, they'll come after all of you. Hard. Not just Helion, but everyone who's been protecting them. The whole corrupt machine will fight back." "We're ready," Isaiah says. "Are you?" Tanya leans forward. "Because I've covered 3 other Helion stories. All 3 whistleblowers died in accidents before they could testify. 1 car crash, 1 house fire, 1 robbery gone wrong. The company has deep pockets and deeper connections. So did the warlords you exposed overseas." A ghost of a smile crosses her face. "You did your homework on me. Former war correspondent, embedded with Marines in Fallujah. Won awards for exposing civilian casualties that private military contractors tried to cover up. And I learned one thing from all of that. The truth only matters if you live long enough to tell it." She starts packing up her laptop. "I'll need 24 hours to verify the final pieces. Then we go live with everything." Dawn has broken outside, painting the empty parking lot in pale gold. They walk to their cars separately, maintaining distance like they never met. Isaiah's halfway home when his phone rings. Lena's number. "Did you meet with Cruz?" she asks, without preamble. "Yes. She's running the story tomorrow. We should—" His phone beeps. Another incoming call. Tanya's number. "Hang on. That's her now." He switches lines. "Tanya?" Heavy breathing. Road noise. "They're following me!" Tanya's voice is tight with fear. Black SUV, no plates. They're trying to— A crash of metal. "Oh, God!" "Where are you?" Isaiah's already spinning his truck around. "Highway 9, near the old mill. They're running me off the—" The line goes dead. Isaiah switches back to Lena. "Call 911. Tanya's in trouble on Highway 9. He floors the accelerator, tires screaming as he races toward the highway. Smoke rises in the distance, thick, black, and oily against the morning sky. His hands clench the steering wheel until his knuckles go white. The scene comes into view like a nightmare in slow motion. A car flipped on its roof, flames already consuming the interior. The heat hits him before he can get within 50 feet. No sign of the black SUV. No sign of Tanya. Lena's car screeches to a halt beside him. They both stare at the inferno, helpless to do anything but watch as sirens wail in the distance. "Jesus Christ," Lena whispers. "They really did it. They killed her." The flames climb higher, devouring any evidence that might have survived. Isaiah stands motionless, the fire's reflection dancing in his eyes as Tanya's last warning echoes in his mind. The truth only matters if you live long enough to tell it. The flames die down to angry embers as emergency vehicles surround Tanya's wreck. Red and blue lights paint the gathering crowd in alternating colors. News vans arrive like vultures, their satellite dishes reaching toward the smoke-stained sky. Isaiah watches from behind the police tape, his face a mask of stone. Beside him, Lena grips her phone, recording everything. They both know what's coming. They've seen this playbook before. Preliminary evidence suggests alcohol may have been involved, Chief Merrick announces to the press, his voice dripping false concern. "We found several empty bottles in the vehicle." "That's a lie," Lena hisses. "Tanya didn't drink. She was Muslim." Isaiah says nothing, his eyes fixed on the wreckage as the fire crews finish their work. Something about the way the car sits bothers him. The angle of impact, the spread of debris. This wasn't just a crash. When the tow truck arrives, he moves closer, pretending to check his phone. The vehicle's mangled rear end passes inches from him. There, attached under the trunk's lip, he spots it. A small black box with a blinking red light. A tracker. He snaps a quick photo before a uniform pushes him back. "Sir, this is an active crime scene." More cops arrive, their faces unfamiliar, not local. They wear tactical gear and carry assault rifles. The crowd shifts nervously. "Isaiah Holt," Chief Merrick's voice booms through a megaphone. "We have a warrant for your arrest." Lena steps forward. "On what grounds?" A detective waves a paper. "Criminal trespassing and destruction of private property." Security footage shows Mr. Holt breaking into Helion defense facilities last night. "That's impossible," Lena protests. "He was with me all." "We have it on video, ma'am." The detective's smile is cold, along with evidence linking him to Ms. Cruz's accident. Isaiah's mind races. They're moving faster than expected, tying up loose ends. He glances at Lena, a silent message passing between them. "Get Ayana out." But it's too late. A police cruiser pulls up, and there's Ayana in the back seat with Aunt Ruth Merrick, the chief's cousin who runs foster care. The girl's eyes go wide when she sees the officers surrounding Isaiah. "No!" she screams, trying to open the locked door. "Leave him alone!" 4 officers move in, weapons drawn. Isaiah raises his hand slowly, keeping his voice steady. "I'm not resisting." They slam him against a cruiser anyway, cuffs biting into his wrists. Ayana's screams pierce the night air as Ruth holds her back. Lena tries to intervene, but an officer shoves her hard enough to make her stumble. "Stay back, counselor," Chief Merrick warns, "unless you want to join him." They drag Isaiah past Ayana, who reaches for him through the car window. "Uncle Isaiah, don't let them take you too." His heart breaks at the terror in her voice, the same terror she felt watching her father die. "It's okay, baby girl. Be strong." "I'll be." A baton to his ribs cuts off his words. They force him into a different cruiser as Chief Merrick approaches, leaning close to the window. "Guess the apple didn't fall far from the tree," he sneers. "Marcus was a troublemaker too. Look where that got him." Isaiah meets his gaze steadily. "You can't hide the truth forever. Watch me." The drive to the station is short, but the real punishment begins in the booking area. "No cameras here. No witnesses except cops who turn their backs. The first blow catches him in the kidney. The second splits his lip. They work methodically, careful to leave marks that won't show in his mugshot. "This is what happens to people who don't know their place," one officer growls between punches. Isaiah takes it silently, tasting blood. He thinks of Marcus, of Tanya, of all the others who died trying to expose the truth. He thinks of Ayanna's face, twisted in grief and rage. They throw him in a cell after booking, his body throbbing. The concrete floor is cold against his bruised face. Down the hall, he hears other prisoners calling out, their voices echoing off steel and stone. "Your lawyer's been blocked from entry," a young deputy whispers through the bars. "They're saying system maintenance." Isaiah pushes himself up, wincing. His split lips form the words carefully. They think they can bury the truth. The deputy glances nervously down the hall before passing him a paper towel for his bleeding mouth. In the distance, a door slams, followed by boots on concrete. Through his swollen eye, Isaiah watches shadows approach his cell. More uniforms, more pain coming. But they don't understand. Every blow, every lie, every cover-up just proves what Marcus died trying to expose. The cell door creaks open. Isaiah doesn't move, doesn't flinch. He's been through worse in war zones. They can break his body, but they can't break his resolve. Not while Ayanna still needs justice. Not while Marcus's killers walk free. Heavy footsteps enter the cell. The door clangs shut behind them. Isaiah stares straight ahead, his body tense but ready. In the fluorescent light, brass knuckles glint on meaty fists. "Ready for round 2, hero?" The jail cell's fluorescent lights buzz like angry wasps, casting harsh shadows across Isaiah's bruised face. His ribs scream with every breath, but he forces himself to sit up straight on the thin mattress. Down the corridor, someone's sobbing echoes off concrete walls. 3 days have passed since his arrest. 3 days of questioning that left purple bruises hidden under his orange jumpsuit. But it's not his own situation that keeps him awake at night. It's knowing what Ayanna must be going through. Through the tiny window in his cell, he catches fragments of courthouse news from passing guards. Lena's voice carries from the hallway during visiting hours, though they won't let her see him. Her words paint a grim picture. "They've placed her with Ruth Merrick," Lena had shouted yesterday, making sure he could hear. "That woman's running a re-education camp disguised as foster care, trying to save black children from their culture." Isaiah's fists clench at the thought of Ayanna in that house. Ruth Merrick's reputation is well known in the black community. A woman who wraps racism in a sugary coating of Christian concern. He learns more during meal delivery from other inmates. Ruth makes foster kids attend her all-white church 3 times a week, forces them to write essays about their sins, punishes them for speaking in anything but proper English. "My cousin went through her house last year," his cellmate whispers during yard time. "Said she locked up kids' family photos, called them negative influences." The mental image of Ayanna, proud, fierce Ayanna, trapped in that environment, makes Isaiah's blood boil. But the system has them in a chokehold. Every move they make gets twisted against them. When Lena tried filing for emergency custody, the Bar Association suddenly discovered ethics violations in her past cases. They suspended her license pending investigation. The timing wasn't subtle. "It's a setup," she managed to tell Isaiah through his cell door before guards removed her. "They're burning every bridge we have." The days blur together under artificial light. Isaiah marks time by the changing of guards, the rhythm of meals, the scheduled abuse sessions that leave new bruises. He does push-ups until his arms shake, keeping his body strong. They won't break him. During dinner, a new story reaches him through the prison grapevine. Ayanna refused to sing hymns at Ruth's church, stood silent while other kids chanted verses. Ruth made her kneel on raw rice for an hour as punishment. But she didn't cry, the trustee whispers while collecting trays. Just stared straight ahead, like her daddy used to do. Pride mixes with worry in Isaiah's chest. Marcus had that same quiet defiance, the kind that scared men like Coyle because it couldn't be beaten out. Late that night, Deputy Hankerson appears for bed check. He's different from the others, younger, softer-spoken, with eyes that can't quite hide his shame at what's happening. Isaiah's seen him flinch during the worst beatings. "Hands where I can see them," Hankerson says mechanically, but there's something off in his tone. Isaiah complies, standing slowly. The deputy makes a show of checking the cell, but his movements are too careful, too precise. When he bends to check under the bed, his hand moves lightning quick. A small piece of paper slides across the floor, stopping just shy of Isaiah's foot. Hankerson straightens up, voice pitched just loud enough for the cameras. "All clear. Step back from the bars." Isaiah waits until the footsteps fade before palming the note. His hands remember Navy training, how to unfold paper silently, how to read in near darkness. The message is brief, written in tight, nervous letters. Marcus's friends, SEALs, contact, Reaper Unit. The name hits him like a physical blow. Reaper Unit, the elite team Marcus served with before they all left the Navy. 13 of the deadliest operators ever trained. All black or brown men who'd seen too much dirty warfare to stomach serving a corrupt system. Isaiah had heard whispers about them over the years. How they'd gone private, but stayed connected. How they cleaned up messes the government wanted buried. How they protected their own. He glances at the cameras, then drops to the floor like he's doing push-ups. In one smooth motion, he slides the paper into a gap between his cot's metal frame and the wall. Safe. Reaper Unit, he whispers into his chest, too quiet for the mics to catch. It's time. More footsteps approach, heavy ones this time. The night shift's attitude adjustment crew, right on schedule. Isaiah rises slowly. Injuries protesting. Let them come. Let them think they're wearing him down. They don't know he's not alone anymore. They don't know that somewhere out there, 13 shadows are about to join the fight. Men who'd served with Marcus, who knew the real story behind Helion's contracts, who had their own scores to settle. The cell door opens with its familiar shriek. Isaiah faces the darkness beyond, shoulders straight despite the pain. They can have tonight's battle. The war is just beginning. 2 guards enter, cracking knuckles. "Ready for your bedtime story, hero?" Isaiah doesn't respond. His mind is already racing ahead, remembering old contacts, planning moves. The real question isn't whether he's ready. It's whether this town is ready for what's coming. The first punch lands. Isaiah rolls with it, protecting his core. Behind his eyes, he sees Marcus's face, Ayanna's tears, Lena's fury. He takes the hits, each one feeding the fire inside him. Soon, he thinks. Soon. Thunder rolls across Hollow Creek like artillery fire. Rain hammers the jail's metal roof, drowning out the usual chorus of midnight suffering. In his cell, Isaiah lies perfectly still, counting heartbeats, waiting. The bruises from his latest session throb in time with the storm. 3 cracked ribs make each breath a knife-edge dance. But his mind stays sharp, focused on the shadows moving beyond his tiny window. At exactly 2 a.m., the first explosion rocks the night, far enough to seem unrelated, maybe a transformer blown by lightning. Guards shift nervously in their seats, radios crackling with confused chatter. The second blast hits closer, taking out the power station that feeds the jail's security systems. Emergency lights flicker on, bathing the corridors in blood-red warning glows. Footsteps pound past Isaiah's cell as guards rush to secure the perimeter. Through his window, he catches glimpses of organized chaos, dark figures moving with military precision. The flash of night vision goggles, hand signals he remembers from combat. A black SUV appears out of the storm like a demon, accelerating toward the main gate. The impact sounds like a bomb going off, metal screaming, concrete crumbling. Gunfire erupts, but it's sporadic, unprofessional. The guards are shooting at ghosts. "Cell blocks compromised," someone shouts. "Multiple hostiles." The voice cuts off in a wet gurgle. Isaiah rises from his cot, muscles coiled. He knows those movement patterns, knows the deadly efficiency of men trained to kill silently. 13 shadows flow through the corridors like smoke. No wasted motion. No mercy for the guards who resist. Each man moves with the controlled violence Isaiah remembers from his SEAL days. The kind that comes from decades of combat, refined into lethal art. His cell door opens without a sound. A familiar face appears in the red emergency lights. Doc Harris, their old unit medic. His dark skin shows new wrinkles, but his eyes still carry that same calculating intensity. "Long time no see, brother," Doc says, voice barely above a whisper. He quickly checks Isaiah's injuries with practiced hands. "They worked you over good. I've had worse." Isaiah grabs the tactical vest Doc tosses him. The weight feels right, like coming home. "Marcus?" Doc's face hardens. He was gathering evidence on Helion's black ops. Found out they were using SEAL teams for illegal wet work, disposing of witnesses. Marcus died trying to protect us all. More explosions outside, calculated distractions drawing attention away from the jail. Through the chaos, Isaiah recognizes other faces from his past. Rodriguez, Jackson, Thompson, all veterans of America's shadow wars, now turned against the system that used them. "Command centers secured," a voice reports through their comms. Cameras looped, guards neutralized. They move like a single organism, muscle memory from countless missions taking over. Isaiah falls into formation despite his injuries. His body remembers this dance. The rain grows heavier as they exit the jail. Lightning silhouettes armed figures on the roof. More of the team providing overwatch. No one dies tonight, but plenty of guards will wake up with splitting headaches and wounded pride. 3 identical black SUVs wait in the parking lot, engines purring. Isaiah slides into the middle vehicle, his ribs screaming protest. Doc hands him a satellite phone. "Lena's secured at the safe house," he says. "But we need to move fast on the girl. Foster mom's getting suspicious." Isaiah dials a memorized number. Lena answers on the first ring. "About damn time," she says, relief cracking through her professional tone. "Ruth's got Ayanna locked in the basement for attitude adjustment. That woman's going to catch these hands." "We're on our way," Isaiah cuts her off. "Be ready to move in 20. The SUVs split up, taking different routes through the storm. Isaiah's vehicle heads toward the outskirts of town, where Ruth Merrick's Victorian mansion squats like a malignant toad. 2 members of the team are already in position, having scouted the property days ago. "No security system," Doc reports, checking thermal imaging. 2 heat signatures in the basement, 1 adult, 1 child. Isaiah's jaw tightens. Ruth's down there with her? Not for long. The extraction takes less than 3 minutes. The basement door proves no match for breaching charges. Ruth barely has time to turn around before she's zip-tied and gagged, her self-righteous protests muffled. They find Ayanna curled in a corner, defiant, even in tears. Her eyes light up when she sees Isaiah. "I knew you'd come," she whispers, throwing herself into his arms. He lifts her despite his ribs' protest, holding her close as they move through the rain to the waiting vehicles. The safe house is an old hunting cabin deep in the woods, off any official maps. Lena meets them on the porch, pulling Ayanna into a fierce embrace. The girl's shoulders finally relax as she breathes in her aunt's familiar scent. Inside, the 13 members of Reaper Unit gather around a scarred wooden table. Maps spread out, show the town, the chemical plant, the police station. Weapons and tactical gear lie ready. Isaiah studies the faces of his brothers in arms, men who've seen the worst humanity offers, but still chose to stand against it. Men who came when called because Marcus was family, and family demands justice. Lightning flashes through grimy windows. Thunder shakes the cabin's foundations. Isaiah looks at the assembled warriors and speaks the words they've all been waiting to hear. Tomorrow, we end this. On camera, dawn breaks over Hollow Creek like a bruise, all purple shadows and mottled gray clouds. The town square fills with workers setting up a stage, hanging banners that read, "In memory of Marcus Freeman, a community united." The hypocrisy turns Isaiah's stomach. He watches from a parked car 2 blocks away, hidden behind tinted windows. Police cruisers circle the perimeter like sharks, their lights off, but their presence heavy. Chief Merrick supervises the security setup personally, positioning snipers on surrounding rooftops. "They're expecting trouble," Doc says from the driver's seat, passing Isaiah a pair of binoculars. Counted 16 officers visible, probably more undercover in the crowd. Isaiah studies the growing gathering through magnified glass. Local news vans jockey for position near the podium. Mayor Reddick's staff arranges chairs in neat rows, making sure the cameras will catch their carefully orchestrated show of unity. "Good," Isaiah grunts. More witnesses. His phone buzzes. Lena sending updates from the safe house where she's helping Ayanna prepare. The girl insisted on speaking at the memorial despite their concerns. "Some things need saying," she'd told them, her young face set with determination that mirrored her father's. Rodriguez's voice crackles through their encrypted radio. "Tech team in position. We've tapped into every local broadcast feed and hijacked the emergency alert system. When you give the signal, Marcus's files go live to every screen in 3 counties. Isaiah checks his watch. 2 hours until the ceremony. In the back seat, Thompson and Jackson verify their gear. Non-lethal, but effective. No one dies today, but plenty of people will face justice. Crowds getting bigger, Doc notes. Looks like the whole town showed up. Isaiah studies the faces through his binoculars. Black residents cluster together, their expressions wary but hopeful. White townspeople maintain careful distance, some wearing blue ribbons in support of law enforcement. The divide runs visible as a scar through the gathering. His phone buzzes again. A photo from Lena shows Ayanna in a simple black dress, her father's dog tags hanging around her neck. The message reads, "She's ready. Are we?" Movement at City Hall, Rodriguez reports. Mayor's motorcade rolling out. Helion exec cars right behind them. Isaiah watches the procession of black SUVs and police escorts wind through downtown. They're making a show of force, flexing their control one last time before it all comes crashing down. "All teams check in," he orders, switching channels on the radio. "Alpha team in position. Thompson and his group responsible for securing exits. Bravo standing by. Jackson's team handling crowd control if needed. Charlie ready. Rodriguez and the tech specialists, fingers hovering over keyboards. Delta in place. Doc's medical team, prepared for any violence." Isaiah takes a deep breath, feeling his cracked ribs protest. The pain keeps him focused. "Remember, we do this clean. By the book. Let the evidence speak for itself." The memorial program starts at exactly 10 a.m. Mayor Reddick takes the podium first, his voice booming through speakers around the square. Today we gather as one community to honor a fallen neighbor. Isaiah's lip curls at the lies. Through his earpiece, he hears Lena and Ayanna arriving through the back entrance they secured earlier. Right on schedule. The mayor drones on about healing and unity, while Chief Merrick stands stone-faced behind him. Neither man shows any sign of shame for their part in Marcus's murder and the cover-up that followed. Signal strength is good, Rodriguez reports. Ready when you are. Isaiah watches Helion's CEO shift uncomfortably in his front row seat. The man keeps checking his phone, probably wondering why his security team isn't responding. They're all currently zip-tied in a warehouse across town, courtesy of Reaper Unit's advance team. Mayor Reddick introduces a local pastor for the invocation. The crowd bows their heads. Isaiah uses the moment to slip through their ranks, moving like a shadow despite his injuries. Other members of Reaper Unit do the same, taking their positions. The prayer ends. Reddick returns to the microphone. And now, to share some words about her father, we welcome young Ayanna Freeman. A murmur runs through the crowd as Ayanna approaches the podium. She looks tiny up there, but her spine is straight as a blade. Lena stands protectively nearby, watching the police officers with open contempt. Isaiah's finger hovers over the radio trigger. Everything hinges on timing now. Years of combat experience have taught him the importance of patience, of waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Ayanna adjusts the microphone. Her voice comes out clear and strong. My daddy was a hero. The crowd leans forward, captivated by this child's courage. Even the police officers lower their weapons slightly, perhaps feeling the first stirrings of shame. Through his earpiece, Isaiah hears Rodriguez whisper, "Feeds locked in." Ready on your mark. Ayanna continues speaking, each word laden with truth. He taught me that doing what's right isn't always easy, that sometimes you have to stand up, even when you're scared. Isaiah looks at Marcus's photo on the memorial banner, his friend smiling, proud in his Navy uniform. So much light, so much hope, snuffed out by corruption and greed. Forgive me, brother, Isaiah whispers, his finger tightening on the trigger. This time, they'll see. Sergeant Coyle approaches the podium after Ayanna steps down. His uniform is pressed crisp, medals gleaming in the morning sun. The performance begins with practiced precision, a trembling lip, a dramatic pause, eyes glistening with fake tears. Marcus Freeman was more than just another citizen. Coyle's voice cracks perfectly. He was a veteran, a father, a member of our community. What happened that day? He dabs at his eyes with a handkerchief. It weighs on all of us in law enforcement. Isaiah's jaw clenches as he watches from within the crowd, baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Beside him, Doc mutters under his breath, "Keep talking, you lying snake." There was no way to know, Coyle continues, gripping the podium's edges. In that split second, when an officer must make life-or-death decisions, he looks heavenward, as if seeking divine understanding. We can only pray for healing, for understanding of this tragic misunderstanding. The crowd shifts uncomfortably. Some nod in agreement, others whisper in disgust. The division cuts through the gathering like a razor, those who believe the lies and those who've lived the truth. Through his earpiece, Isaiah hears Rodriguez. Feeds are primed. Every screen in town is linked to our broadcast signal. Coyle's voice rises with rehearsed emotion. We must come together now, more than ever. We must trust in the system, in the proper channels. Isaiah's hand moves to his pocket, fingers finding the remote trigger. He glances at the massive LED screens flanking the stage, currently showing Coyle's performance in high definition. His gaze sweeps over the positioning of his team. Thompson near the emergency exit, Jackson by the sound booth, others scattered strategically through the crowd. "I personally pledge," Coyle thumps his chest, "that we will honor Marcus's memory by—" Isaiah presses the button. The screens flicker. Static crackles through the speakers. Then suddenly, crystal-clear footage fills every display. Marcus Freeman's truck pulled over, his hands visible on the steering wheel. The timestamp shows the real, unedited body cam video. Gasps ripple through the crowd. On screen, Marcus speaks calmly. "Officer, I'm reaching for my registration." Coyle freezes mid-sentence at the podium, his face draining of color as his own voice blares through the speakers. "Shut your mouth, boy." The footage continues mercilessly. No weapon, no threat, just 3 shots, and Marcus falling, while Ayanna's screams pierce the morning air. The truth, raw and undeniable, plays out in high definition. But it doesn't stop there. More footage follows: security camera clips of late-night chemical dumps, body cam videos of coordinated harassment, recorded meetings between police and Helion executives. Years of corruption cascade across the screens. The crowd erupts. Some people cry out in horror, others in vindication. News cameras swing wildly between the screens and the stunned faces of officials on stage. Mayor Reddick stumbles backward. Helion's CEO bolts for his security detail, only to find them mysteriously absent. "Shut it off!" Chief Merrick bellows, but his tech team's equipment is dead, hijacked by Rodriguez's superior skills. "Kill the power!" Isaiah steps forward, removing his cap. Around him, other members of Reaper Unit emerge from the crowd like shadows taking form. The police officers on scene raise their weapons, but they're suddenly unsure where to aim. There are too many targets, too many angles to cover. Coyle's practiced composure shatters. His hand drops to his service weapon, eyes wild with desperation. "This is a setup!" he shouts, drawing his pistol. "These men are dangerous fugitives!" "No!" Isaiah's voice carries across the square, steady and deep as thunder. "This is justice." The screens keep rolling, showing more damning evidence. Isaiah advances toward the stage, his movements measured and deliberate. Other Reaper Unit members move in perfect coordination, securing positions. "Stay back!" Coyle's gun hand trembles. Behind him, other officers look increasingly uncertain, watching their carefully constructed lies crumble in real time. Lena steps forward, her phone held high, streaming everything live. "Put down your weapon, Sergeant. The whole world is watching now." More phones rise from the crowd, hundreds of cameras capturing every moment. There's no hiding anymore, no twisting the narrative. The truth spreads like wildfire across social media, breaking through years of carefully maintained lies. Ayanna stands at the edge of the stage, her father's dog tags catching the sunlight. She stares directly at Coyle, no longer afraid. "You killed my daddy," she says, her voice carrying through the square. And now everyone knows why. The footage loops back to Marcus's murder. Each time it plays, the impact hits harder. Some officers lower their weapons, stepping back from Coyle as if his guilt might be contagious. Others look sick, finally facing what they've enabled through their silence. Isaiah continues his advance, flanked by his team. Their formation is precise, professional, not terrorists or thugs, but trained warriors bringing light to darkness. The contrast between their discipline and Coyle's unraveling control tells its own story. "You can't," Coyle's voice cracks, real emotion replacing his earlier performance. "You don't understand what they'll do." "We understand exactly what they'll do," Isaiah replies, steady and relentless as the tide. "That's why we're here." The screens above them fill with more evidence: property records showing stolen land, medical reports documenting chemical exposure, financial transfers between Helion and police leadership. The truth pours out like a flood, washing away decades of careful manipulation. Coyle's finger tightens on the trigger. A shot rings out, then another. Chaos erupts as police officers open fire into the crowd. People scream and scatter, seeking cover behind cars and trees. "Protect the civilians!" Isaiah's command cuts through the mayhem. The Reaper unit springs into action, their training evident in every move. Doc tackles an elderly woman behind a concrete planter just as bullets chip the stone. Thompson shields a group of children, hustling them behind the memorial wall. Smoke grenades hiss across the pavement, filling the square with thick gray clouds. Through the haze, the sounds of combat echo. The sharp crack of gunfire mixed with the meaty impact of hand-to-hand fighting. "Get the cameras rolling!" Lena shouts, directing news crews to safe positions while maintaining their shots. "The world needs to see this!" Isaiah moves through the smoke like a ghost, his SEAL training taking over. He spots Coyle trying to escape through the chaos, shoving civilians aside as he runs. With practiced precision, Isaiah cuts through the crowd in pursuit. "Going somewhere, Sergeant." Isaiah's voice freezes Coyle in his tracks. Coyle spins, firing wildly. Isaiah rolls behind a parked car as bullets ping off metal. Around them, the square has become a battlefield. Reaper unit members systematically disarming police officers while protecting trapped civilians. "You people never learn your place," Coyle screams, reloading. "Always pushing, always causing trouble." "Our place?" Isaiah emerges from cover, moving like liquid shadow. "Our place is right here, standing up to men like you." Coyle charges, abandoning his empty weapon for a wild haymaker. Isaiah slips the punch, years of combat experience evident in every movement. The two men clash in the center of the square, their fight illuminated by emergency lights and camera flashes. "I've been waiting for this," Coyle snarls, landing a lucky blow to Isaiah's ribs. "Gonna put you down like your friend Marcus." Isaiah's eyes narrow. He blocks Coyle's next punch and counters with a devastating combination. Jab, cross, elbow. Coyle staggers back, blood spraying from his nose. The sergeant fights dirty, trying to gouge eyes and grab groin, but Isaiah's technical superiority is overwhelming. "Look around you," Isaiah says, deflecting another wild swing. "Your empire of lies is falling." Through the thinning smoke, they can see federal vehicles arriving, black SUVs and helicopters descending on the scene. The FBI, drawn by Lena's livestream and the mounting evidence, has finally arrived. Coyle's face twists with desperate rage. He pulls a hidden knife, slashing wildly. "You're nothing! You hear me? Nothing!" Isaiah catches the knife hand, applies pressure to the wrist. The blade clatters to the pavement. In one fluid motion, he sweeps Coyle's legs and drives him to the ground, securing an arm lock that makes the sergeant howl in pain. "We're nothing?" Isaiah increases the pressure slightly. "We're the people you couldn't break, the truth you couldn't bury, the justice you couldn't stop." Cameras surround them, capturing every moment. News helicopters circle overhead, their spotlights creating a stark tableau. Isaiah, standing tall and controlled, Coyle writhing in the dust at his feet. "Go ahead," Coyle spits blood. "Kill me. Prove what animals you are." Isaiah releases the hold and steps back. "No, you don't get to die a martyr." He pulls his own handcuffs from his belt, the ones he'd worn in jail just days before. "You get to live with your shame." The cuffs click shut around Coyle's wrists. Above them, federal helicopters touch down, agents in tactical gear flooding the square. They secure the scene with practiced efficiency, detaining corrupt officers and gathering evidence. "This is what your heroes look like," Isaiah announces to the cameras, hauling Coyle to his feet. "Men who murder fathers in front of their children. Men who poison communities for profit. Men who hide behind badges while dealing in death. He marches Coyle toward the nearest federal agent, past rows of phones recording every step. The sergeant's head hangs low, his carefully maintained image shattered beyond repair. "Special Agent Cooper, FBI," the agent says, presenting credentials. "We'll take him from here. We have a lot of questions about Helion defense contracts." Isaiah hands Coyle over, watching as he's led to a waiting helicopter. Around the square, other arrests are underway. Chief Merrick, Mayor Reddick, Helion executives caught trying to flee. The Reaper unit maintains order, ensuring no more civilians are harmed in the process. Ayanna approaches through the settling smoke, Lena's hand protective on her shoulder. She looks at the helicopter carrying away her father's killer, then up at Isaiah. "Is it over?" she asks, her voice small but steady. Isaiah kneels beside her, gentle despite his bruised knuckles and split lip. "The fighting's over," he says. "But the real work, making sure this never happens again, that's just beginning." Federal agents swarm the square, cataloging evidence and taking statements. News crews broadcast live to a stunned nation. The truth, so long suppressed, spreads unstoppably across screens worldwide. In the distance, sirens wail as more authorities arrive, drawn to the epicenter of a corruption scandal that would shake the country to its core. Above them all, the screens still play Marcus's final moments, a continuous reminder of why they fought, why they never backed down, why justice demanded its due. 2 days after the standoff at the memorial, dawn breaks over Hollow Creek with a different energy. The morning news plays on TVs across town, showing footage of Chief Merrick's resignation press conference. He stands at a podium, pale and defeated, as reporters shout questions about Helion Defense Corporation's illegal activities. "Breaking news," the anchor announces. "Federal agents have issued subpoenas to Helion CEO Richard Palmer and 12 other executives following evidence of environmental crimes and conspiracy." Lena Freeman sits in her office, watching the coverage while unpacking her law books. The Mississippi Bar Association letter lies open on her desk, a full reinstatement and formal apology. Her phone hasn't stopped ringing since the story broke. Reporters, potential clients, and civil rights organizations all want to speak with the attorney who helped expose the corruption. She picks up a framed photo of Marcus from a box and places it on her desk. "We did it, Big Brother," she whispers, touching the glass. "We showed them what truth looks like." Across town, Isaiah Holt ignores the third call from CNN. His phone buzzes constantly with interview requests, but he has no interest in becoming a media figure. He parks his truck at Oak Hill Cemetery, where fresh flowers already cover Marcus Freeman's grave. News of his murder and the subsequent cover-up has touched people nationwide. Isaiah walks slowly through the morning mist, his boots leaving prints in the wet grass. He carries a small American flag, the kind given at military funerals. Behind him, Ayanna follows quietly, clutching something in her small hands. They reach Marcus's headstone, simple and dignified like the man himself. The inscription reads, "Marcus Freeman, beloved father, brother, friend. Stand for what's right, even if you stand alone." Isaiah plants the flag beside the stone. "People keep calling me a hero," he says softly. "But you were the real hero, Marcus. You started this fight knowing what it might cost." Ayanna steps forward, her face solemn but composed. In her hands, she holds her father's Navy Cross, his highest military honor. She had found it in his toolbox, wrapped in a handkerchief, with a note explaining its significance. "Daddy never talked about this," she says, running her fingers over the bronze cross. "He said real heroes don't brag." "That's true," Isaiah nods. "Your father believed in doing what's right because it's right, not for recognition." Ayanna places the medal carefully against the headstone, arranging it so morning sunlight catches the metal. "The news people want to interview me," she says. "They keep calling Aunt Lena's house." "You don't have to talk to them if you don't want to," Isaiah assures her. "What happened? It's your story to tell when and if you choose." She looks up at him, her eyes carrying wisdom beyond her years. "I want people to know who my daddy really was. Not what those police said about him." Isaiah remembers the lies they spread after the shooting, how they tried to paint Marcus as a threat, a criminal. Now those same officers sit in federal custody, their badges stripped away, facing years in prison. "The truth came out," Isaiah says, "because you were brave enough to stand up, because you wouldn't let them hide what they did." Ayanna wipes a tear from her cheek. "Sometimes I still get scared," she admits, "when I see police cars or when people stare at me in stores." Isaiah kneels beside her, his voice gentle but firm. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing what's right, even when you're terrified. That's what your daddy taught us both. They stand in comfortable silence, watching shadows shift across the headstone as clouds pass overhead. In the distance, a church bell tolls the hour. The sound reminds Isaiah of Marcus's Sunday routine, how he'd dress up in his best suit, take Ayanna to services, then treat her to pancakes afterward. "You know what I remember most?" Ayanna says suddenly. "How Daddy always helped people fix their cars, even when they couldn't pay. He said everybody deserves a little kindness." Isaiah smiles, remembering Marcus's generous spirit. He believed in building community, in lifting people up instead of pushing them down. A cool breeze rustles the flowers on the grave. Ayanna adjusts her father's medal, making sure it's secure. Her small fingers trace the letters of his name on the stone. "Miss Jenkins at school says I'm in the history books now," she says. "That what happened here will be remembered." "It will," Isaiah agrees. "But more importantly, your father's legacy will live on through you, through your courage, your heart, your sense of justice." Ayanna leans against him, exhausted but peaceful. The past few days have been a whirlwind of federal agents, journalists, and legal proceedings. Through it all, she's shown remarkable strength. Isaiah wraps his arms around her small frame, holding her close as the morning sun warms their faces. "You made him proud, baby girl," he says softly. "So proud." 1 month later, Hollow Creek's town square looks transformed. Gone are the bullet holes and scorch marks from that fateful day. Fresh paint brightens storefronts, and new benches line the sidewalks. But the most striking changes are the murals that now dominate 2 prominent walls. On the east wall, Marcus Freeman's face gazes out over the square, his expression both gentle and determined. The artist captured his essence perfectly. The quiet strength in his eyes, the slight smile that always made people feel welcome. Next to his portrait, Tanya Cruz's mural shows her holding a notebook, her face fierce and focused, embodying the relentless pursuit of truth that ultimately cost her life. The square fills steadily as afternoon shadows lengthen. People arrive carrying folding chairs and blankets, setting up on the fresh grass where temporary stages and speakers stand ready. Children dart between adults' legs, their laughter echoing off buildings that once witnessed so much pain. The crowd grows diverse. Elderly black residents who've lived here all their lives chat with young white families who've just moved in. Hispanic business owners close their shops early to join the gathering, and Asian students from the community college help set up refreshment tables. Lena Freeman adjusts the microphone on the small stage, her legal pad covered in last-minute notes. She's wearing a dress in Marcus's favorite shade of blue. Behind her, a banner reads, "Hollow Creek Unity Celebration. Truth Grows Here." Isaiah Holt stands at the edge of the crowd, leather jacket on despite the warm evening. He prefers watching from a distance these days, though people still approach to shake his hand or thank him. The 13 other SEALs who helped expose the truth have long since departed, returning to their lives across the country. But their presence lingers in the town's collective memory, proof that justice can prevail when good people stand together. Mayor Wilson, elected after Reddick's arrest, takes the stage first. She's young, progressive, and determined to heal the town's wounds. "A month ago," she begins, "we stood divided by lies, hatred, and fear. Today, we gather as one community, stronger for having faced our truths." The crowd applauds politely, but they're really waiting for another speaker. Ayanna Freeman sits in the front row, wearing a yellow sundress and clutching index cards. At 9 years old, she's become a symbol of resistance and hope, though most don't know she still has nightmares about that morning with her father. When Lena introduces her niece, the square falls silent. Ayanna walks to the microphone, her braids swaying slightly in the evening breeze. She has to stand on a small platform to reach it properly. Isaiah notices her hands trembling, but admires how she squares her shoulders, just like Marcus used to do. "My name is Ayanna Freeman," she begins, her voice clear and strong despite its youth. "A lot of people know me as the girl who pointed a gun at police, or the daughter of the man they killed. But I want to tell you who I really am." She pauses, looking out at the sea of faces. "I'm a girl who loved having pancakes with her daddy on Sundays, who helped him fix cars in his garage, who learned from him that being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing what's right, even when you're terrified." In the crowd, several people wipe away tears. An elderly white woman reaches over to squeeze the hand of a young black mother next to her. "When they killed my daddy, they thought they could hide the truth. They thought nobody would listen to a little girl. But they were wrong." Ayanna's voice grows stronger. "My daddy always said that lies are like chains. They might hold you down for a while, but truth breaks them every time." Isaiah notices movement at the edges of the crowd, reporters with cameras trying to capture this moment. But for once, their presence doesn't feel intrusive. This needs to be documented, needs to be remembered. Miss Cruz, Tanya, she believed in truth too. She died trying to help us tell it. Ayanna gestures to the journalist's mural. So did a lot of other people who got hurt, or lost their jobs, or were scared to speak up. But they did it anyway, because that's what courage looks like. The setting sun casts long shadows across the square, painting everything in soft gold light. Someone starts a rhythm of gentle clapping, and it spreads through the crowd like ripples in water. "People ask me if I'm angry," Ayanna continues. "Sometimes I am. But Daddy taught me that anger can poison your heart if you let it. He'd want us to build something better instead. That's why these murals matter. That's why this celebration matters. Because we're not just remembering what we lost. We're growing something new." She steps back from the microphone as applause thunders across the square. Lena hugs her tight, both of them crying now. The crowd rises to their feet, the sound of their appreciation echoing off buildings that once echoed with gunfire. Isaiah watches as Ayanna makes her way off the stage, accepting hugs and handshakes from people in the front rows. She looks tired but proud, like she's finally set down a heavy weight. When she reaches the mural of her father, she stops and looks up at it. The inscription beneath it catches the last rays of sunlight. "They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds." A small group gathers around her, reading the words aloud together. The phrase spreads through the crowd in whispers and murmurs, becoming a gentle chorus of voices, united in remembrance and hope. I hope you enjoyed that story. Please share it with your friends, and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.